Hi, I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. Okay, Elizabeth Warren screwed our asses over. Okay, this is why she did. Because, first of all, she was very popular. She's one of the most progressive Democrats in the Democratic Party. A lot of people liked her, and she didn't run for president in the during the primaries. A lot of us are wondering, as progressive, well, why didn't she try to run? Because we need somebody that's a progressive to go and run against Republicans to make sure that we won. Hillary, she was a big name, but that's all she was a big name. And there was only a few other people that ran. It was definitely would not have been any problems to add one more progressive in there running as Elizabeth Warren, or maybe Elizabeth would have ran instead of Bernie, because if Elizabeth announced fairly early on that she was going to run for president, maybe Bernie Sanders wouldn't have ran. But anyways, whichever way it would have went, if both of them ran or just Elizabeth Warren, there's plenty of room for Elizabeth to have run in the Democratic primary, and she didn't. So how she screwed us over was, first of all, she didn't support Bernie Sanders when Bernie Sanders was talking about all these progressive things about making sure we have universal health care, rebuilding our infrastructure, talk about how the trade deals, the NAFTA and the TPP screwed our asses over, and they're going to screw us over even more. All we're doing is shipping all the good manufacturing job overseas, and maybe most of all, businesses and the government are not replacing those good jobs with any tertiary or higher level jobs. They're just shipping them out and just leaving everything else bare. So really, in a macro scale, there's not any big time high paying jobs going back in to replace all those factory jobs that we shipped out. Bernie Sanders didn't talk too much about that, but maybe maybe Elizabeth Warren would have said, we need to replace all the jobs that we shipped out, some higher level, some tertiary level jobs. So a lot of people that have been trained to build all these sorts of things, trains and automobiles, etc. and so forth, that we need to give them higher level jobs doing, let's make a green deal, let's make a lot of solar panels, let's maintain the solar panels, let's make wind turbines, let's maintain those wind turbines, let's fix our infrastructure, let's do a couple other major things we need to do. I can't think of anything right now, but she could have, of course she would have been progressive. She would have ran on, we need any of the factory jobs, we need to replace those with high paying jobs, high paying, high quality jobs. But she didn't do that. She didn't support Bernie Sanders. She didn't say a damn thing about any of the corruption that was going on with the Democratic National Committee and with the Hillary Clinton campaign, about how each and every single way, and the corporate media too, about how all they did was talk about how Bernie can't win. He has no shot. He did have a shot. He had a shot throughout most of the primaries. I think the nail in the coffin was when Bernie Sanders lost New York, because after then he was too far behind and it was just too big of a hurdle for him to overcome all those delegates that he wasn't able to win. And it was also the Democratic Party, because all the super delegates were always for Hillary Clinton, and the mainstream media said, oh, well, we're going to include the super delegates as regular delegates and say Hillary Clinton had this huge lead, when she didn't, because they don't vote till the end. And that's one thing she could have smashed the mainstream media on, was that don't count the super delegates, because all the people that are just going to watch you are going to think that Bernie has no shot. I was going to vote for Bernie, but I can't because he has no shot to win, because they weren't strong enough in their convictions to say, I'm going to vote the person I like the most. I'm going to vote for who's winning, or maybe I won't vote at all because the guy I want to win is not going to win. And they have no hope of voting for who they want. So she could have came in and smashed the corporate media on that too. She didn't do that. And she waited until the very end to say she's with Hillary. That really did absolutely nothing. But, so we were wondering, why didn't she run? And of course, I'm going to try to cut this in. Or post it up. But I need to look for it. But of course, Elizabeth Warren was found in the WikiLeaks that she was trying to pick out who's going to be in Hillary Clinton's cabinet before the primary started. So since from the beginning she was trying to work with Hillary Clinton to try to get her to move her towards the policy, and with whoever was going to be in her cabinet, she was part of the problem. She was part of the corruption. Yes, I said it. Since she was working with Hillary before the primaries even started to try to influence her on which people she should pick, she was part of why Hillary won the Democratic primaries. She was part of the problem, and that's why she screwed us over. That's why she couldn't run as a presidential candidate in the primaries. That's why she couldn't call out Hillary for being a fucking flip-flopper. That's why she couldn't support Bernie and say, Bernie's for the people, I'm going to support Bernie, and I'm going to campaign with Bernie and say, we're going to fight to make sure that the government works for you and not for the corporations. That's why she couldn't attack the corporate media. That's why she couldn't do all these things, because she was already in the banks with Hillary. She was part of the corruption, and that's why she didn't run. That's how she screwed us over. Because in the primaries, she was part of the damn problem. Okay, hi. Alright, it's another day. Yeah, it took me a while to look up go through all the emails and just keep searching, but I was finally able to find the email that they talked about Elizabeth Warren that was key. So here it is. Okay. As a follow-up to HRC's meeting with Warren, I spent about an hour and 20 minutes this afternoon with Dan Geldin, longtime advisor to the senator. He was intently focused on personnel issues, laid out a detailed case against the Bob Rubin School of Democratic Policymakers, was very critical of the Obama administration's choices, and explained that led opposition to Antonio Weiss. We then carefully went through a list of people they do like, which EW Elizabeth Warren sent over to HRC earlier, or Hillary Rodham Clinton. We've already been in touch with a number of them, and he goes on a little bit. I might talk about some of this in a different video. But, okay. Then it says, starting with their speech at the AFL this week, EW will be pushing back against the president's message that the economy is getting better, and urging us not to get distracted by metrics like GDP, unemployment, and so much else remains wrong. So, GDP, first of all, GDP and unemployment, those are right-wing metrics they like to use, because they'll say, oh, GDP and unemployment's good, everything else is good. It doesn't matter how much any of the people are making, doesn't matter how much people are in debt, personally, doesn't matter how much people are not making. The only thing that matters is if the total of the economy is good, and then unemployment levels are low. It doesn't matter. And that, of course, that's total bullshit. There's way too many people that are making poverty level incomes. There's way too many working people not making middle class incomes. But of course, all President Obama and his administration talks about is unemployment numbers. Levels are low. Everything's a-okay. We all know that's bullshit. So that's number one. Elizabeth Warren sent Hillary Clinton a list of a policy. She sent her a list of policy people that should be in her cabinet. And this was the date for this email is 1/6/2015. So that was before even the primaries started, and she's already making lists. So that's why she's part of the fucking problem. Primaries haven't even started yet. She's already colluding with her to say, okay, we need to make sure these people are part of your staff to make sure we're right when you win the nomination, because it's inevitable, because we're going to fix it to make sure you do win the at least the primaries. You already got your staff ready to go. So this email right here proves that Elizabeth Warren was full of shit. And she talked about how she's above party politics and she's just fighting for the people. She wasn't fighting for the people when she's making lists about who should be in Hillary's cabinet before the primaries even fucking started. She's in it for herself, and she's in it for Hillary Clinton. And look what that got her. She didn't even get the fucking pick for VP. That shit wouldn't even matter anyway. A lot of people would have said, oh, I hate Hillary, so I'm not going to vote for her. Because it wouldn't have been about Elizabeth Warren. It would have been about Hillary Clinton and how she still sucks.